Okay, we're over at the lathe here. We're starting on a new project. We'll make a separate video for it, but give you a little preview here. We got these yokes, and the customer wants these flanges so that they can go onto those yokes, and this part will be cut off. He's making basically once made anyways, a replaceable unit U-joints. Will be a flange on this side, the other U-joint, another flange on the other side, and then there'll be the flange on the differential and transfer case, as well as a flange on each end of the drive shaft, so he can just take the 8 bolts out. You'll see that. It'll describe it again in the independent video for that. So another thing we're working on, we'll just tilt you down here and you can probably see it. This is a piece we're working on. We got to make up a whole bunch of them flanges, so we got to start on this one. Turn her all out to size, bring you back up. So that's about what we're doing this week. The 47 Chev isn't got back in this week, busy doing customer work, so we'll get back on that. There's a couple of clips there we're going to have in here of doing the lines for it, and when we get her back in, we'll get more footage and get that up hopefully next week. Well, we got another line here that's been brazed together. If we can get it to focus a bit here, you might be able to see that it looks like one end is a flared line. Look in there. And the other end may have a nut on it. And they simply took 2 lines that were too short. Actually, I don't think it would have been too short if they'd actually run it from one to the other, but the loop that they made, as you can see, to go from the booster to the lines running to the front and back of the truck on the frame, it looks like they brazed 2 flares together. Believe it or not, it's not plugged with brass. They did a fine job, but I think we'll make a new lineup. Now, this is what we took off. You can see it's a fine piece of engineering. And this is what we're putting on. See if we can get a shot of these side by each here somewhere. Those are in the same relative position. And if we line them up here, that is how they fit. So once we get underneath the truck and get everything on, we'll take a few shots of what the new lines look like. Well, as you can see, we're working on the 2-post hoist here. Had ourselves a bit of a disaster. Hydraulic line appears to be rusted off. It goes into this block. This block threads in right down there through a hole into the back of the cylinder. It's inside this column. You can see it in there. And then off of that, that's the other end of the line that's rusted off. And it's teed in here with a bunch of water pipe, black iron tees. We're going to switch all this out to hydraulic. Get some new hoses made up maybe, because they're fairly bad shape. And then the hydraulic line runs over and goes into this cylinder over here. And I'm thinking we might take it apart, just because we can, and replace it, service it up before it breaks. So we're going to see if we can get that piece out of there so that we can reuse this block. Otherwise we're going to have the fun of making one of these, which we can do. But the only thing wrong with it is that it is rusted off. So we're going to clean her up and see how we make out. If we get a chance, maybe we'll film some of it. Okay, heater up red hot, putting easy out in. Now we'll see what happens here. Yeah, she's turning. Yeah. Bump the camera around with a wrench here every time we go by. Yep. So, means we can reuse that piece. We'll have to get a measure how long of a pipe nipple we need on there and get that done up on Monday, I guess. Get our fittings. We'll record some of that as we're putting her back together. Okay, so we got our lines, new lines made up here for our hoist. And we'll go down here and take a look. We got all hydraulic lines on there, fittings, and then we got new hose run across to the other side, and it all seems to work. Gonna have to do a little bit more work on this. We still got to change out the cables here from where people had it before. You can see they kind of looped the equalizing cables and used cable clamps. We're gonna get new cables made up with proper swedged on ends so we can do them up. So that's all operational now.